Hey everyone, welcome to Best Practices here at Medscape Medical Students. I'm Neil Bobster, representative, sitting down with Dr. Rishi Desai from Osmosis. Thanks so much for sitting with us, Dr. Desai.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Neil. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Yeah, I'm super excited for our conversation. We can get right to it with my first question being, can you tell us, the Medscape Medical Student community, a little bit about the philosophy behind osmosis?
Sure. Yeah, the word is probably where I'll start. So osmosis is kind of the movement of water from places of high concentration, if you think of water in that way, to low concentration. And the idea is that we learn not just from one place. It's not like I'm a teacher or faculty and I teach Neil, the med student. The idea is that Neil has lived a rich and complex life and can probably teach me a lot of stuff too. And so that's the idea, is that we all learn from each other in all directions. We have kind of a vertical family, right? Like you're maybe here in med school, and maybe there's a fourth year you look up to. Maybe that fourth year looks up to a resident, and they look up to a fellow and an attending. That's your vertical family. You've got a horizontal family. Those are all your classmates, your peers, people on your level of learning. So we imagine that the learning can happen horizontally from peer to peer. It can happen vertically up and down the chain. And if you don't have a good network that goes in both directions, you often don't learn optimally. So that's kind of the idea behind osmosis. We want learning to happen in all directions and at all times. So it doesn't have to happen when I'm sitting at the bedside, or learning doesn't happen when I'm in the classroom. It happens when I'm thinking about it at the park, or on a weekend, when I'm sitting in the bathroom, I might be learning or thinking about something. So you learn all the time from everyone. That's osmosis.
Okay, all right. Well, that kind of transitions me to my first question. What are some recommendations for students on how to best use osmosis that they may not have realized already?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of people watch our videos, and that's what we're often known for. And I think our videos do symbolize a lot of the great parts of osmosis. I think the thing that people don't realize are the platform features. So let me just spell a couple of those out.
Yeah.
One, you can answer a question, you get it right, you get it wrong. Spaced repetition sends you the stuff you should be doing every day. It's a good habit. And so that's the first thing. Build a good habit, start using spaced rep. Number two, start thinking actively instead of passively. So do questions, every day. So when I think spaced rep, I often think flashcards.
Yeah.
But with questions, you're being a little bit more aggressive in terms of tying information together. That's the next thing I would do. And the third thing I would do, just because everyone likes threes, are instead of just consuming, produce, make something. So make a flashcard, make a question. You'll learn it much better than just consuming. So yeah, you can get really good at consuming videos, flashcards, and questions, and maybe you can do 10,000 questions, and maybe you get a great NVMe score. You'll get a better score if you start producing. So produce questions for yourself that you have to answer yourself 6 months from now, or a year from now, or send them to your peers. And the platform allows you to do that too.
So these are all things you can do on osmosis on the website.
Yeah, basically a couple of med students sat around a number of years ago and thought, hey, how can we make this medical education thing better? Looked around at the learning science and said, hey, there is this information out here on how to learn better. Why don't we actually build something to make this work? And so everything I'm talking about is not theoretical. You can actually sit down on osmosis and do those three things. You can do flashcards, questions, spaced rep, produce content. You can do all that stuff.
Okay, all right. Well, that kind of takes me to my next question. As medical students, we have the pre-dedicated period and the dedicated period before the boards. I want to ask, how should a student use osmosis during lecture time and during the dedicated period?
Yeah, so I'll add a post-dedicated period, a little bonus for you afterwards. But pre-dedicated, so pre-dedicated, is when you're just trying to essentially create a good foundation. So I'd say create a good foundation by making sure that you dive deep into topics and ask the question of why. Not just understand the fact that some syndrome happens, but okay, ask yourself, okay, so when embryologically was that heart developing that then later developed some sort of a foramen or some sort of a ductus? At what stage was that occurring? And test yourself. Make sure your foundation is solid. Say, oh yeah, that was around week 14 that would happen. So that's number one. That's pre-dedicated. Having a really solid foundation and feeling comfortable. You kind of know when you're uneasy about some topic. You're like, oh God, biochem. Really? I have to think about that. Think about those things pre-dedicated. In dedicated, probe your weaknesses and say, okay, look, I know I'm weak in these areas, or I think I could be weak. I'm going to probe those areas. I'm going to do a lot of questions in renal because I feel like I'm pretty weak there. So probe those weaknesses and actually start spending time reading those answer explanations. That's where you should spend all of your time, is in the answer explanations. In the pre-dedicated, I would spend most of your time doing flashcards and actually learning. So if you learn from videos, great. That's a great place to go. If you learn from reading, that's great. We've got notes and things like that. So you spend more time in notes and videos and flashcards when you're pre-dedicated. Dedicated, I would just spend time with answer explanations. The bonus would be post-dedicated. So it's great to be dedicated to an exam. It's better to be dedicated to your patients. And I'll tell you that when I went, like I thought, the same way, like I was a med student too. And I was like, all right, I have my exam. I'm going to try to rock it. And then I'm done. I'm good to go. I can't tell you how many times I look up stuff every single day. And now I'm quick. I'm quick as a rabbit looking stuff up. And I can find stuff pretty fast. And I would challenge any med student to find something faster than me because I just do it every day. Because, you've maybe practiced for 2 years.
Yeah.
I've practiced for about 18. And so now I'm really fast at it. And so if you can just remember that, hey, this is a skill. Yeah, you're 2 years in. That's good. But you're going to have to do this for 18, 20, 30, 40 years, like looking things up. Every single day I don't know things. And that's good. That means I have to look it up. So just remember there's a post-dedicated set of decades that you have to, sort of plan these good habits for.
Okay, well, yeah, that's definitely a lot of wisdom that I think a lot of us don't really think about on a day-to-day.